Welcome to the Ultimate Road Trip. For our project, we decided to plan a trip around the United States to 10 of our favorite locations. First, we had to decide what the optimal starting location would be between 5 students at 5 different universities. The universities are Indiana, Baylor, Iowa State, Colorado Boulder, and Minnesota University. Each student would travel from their universities to one of the 10 locations.
We used GUSEC to make a linear program to determine the optimal starting location between the 5 students.
From our GUSEC code, we determined the starting location that would minimize distance traveled by all the students is New Orleans.
Once it was determined that New Orleans was the optimal starting location, we had to determine the optimal path around the United States that would minimize distance traveled.
The 10 locations that needed to be visited on the path are the Grand Canyon, Yellowstone, Yosemite, Golden Gate Bridge, Central Park, Washington, D.C., San Diego, Walt Disney World, New Orleans, and Las Vegas.
The 5 students determined that they would end in Las Vegas for one of the students' 21st birthdays.
We then created a new linear program in GUSEC that optimizes a path starting in New Orleans and ending in Las Vegas while still visiting all 10 locations.
For the purpose of our code, we assigned each of the locations a binary variable. The code then took into account the distance between each of the locations from one another and minimized the total mileage of our route. While creating the second linear program, we experienced issues because our code was creating 2 separate loops as opposed to one continuous path. We were able to fix this problem by adding additional constraints that were used to eliminate the possibility of returning back to an already visited location.
We determined from the GUSEC code that our optimized path for the 5 students starting in New Orleans is to first travel to Walt Disney World.
Next, the students should travel to Central Park.
After Central Park, the students will travel to Washington, D.C.
Next, the students will drive to Yellowstone.
After Yellowstone, the Golden Gate Bridge is next.
From the Golden Gate Bridge, the students will travel to Yosemite.
Next up is San Diego.
After San Diego, the students will travel to the Grand Canyon.
Lastly, the students will drive to Las Vegas to celebrate a 21st birthday.
Now that we have optimized our route and starting location, we can be confident that our road trip is as efficient as possible. This will allow us to maximize our experience while minimizing our cost.